Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Northport, A View from Here. My name is Gene Matthews and I'll be your host today. Visiting with us today is our City Commissioner and Chairperson, Richard Lockhard, and at a later segment we will have Fred Tower, who is our latest and newest Commissioner. Commissioner Lockhard, how are you today?
Thanks for inviting me. I think I was invited.
Well, yes, you were, and congratulations on being the chair of the City Commission. And
thank you.
Before we get on too far, give some folks, a lot of new people in Northport, and they'd like to know who their city commissioners are, where they come from, and what their background is. So maybe, and family life, so on and so forth. Maybe you could just give us a little rundown on yourself personally.
Okay. Well, I've been down in Sarasota. It was 9 years, and I moved to Northport 17 years ago. But we always worked in Massachusetts. I still park my car in the yard. I can't.
You pack it, you mean?
And can't shake that Boston accent. But we moved just over the line into Salem, New Hampshire, and I get involved in politics there. And we moved down here and retired. I said, well, why don't I try it again? So my wife said, well, here we go again. So I ran for commission. The first time I lost. The second time I ran, I won. I beat the incumbent, which made me feel kind of good. And that was 4 years ago, and I ran for re-election, and here I am again for 4 more years. Mm-hmm. And that would be, after that, of course, I'm termed out.
Okay, and you have any children down here?
Yeah, I'm lucky we have my 2 sons here. They moved down several years ago. They met 2 girls, they get married, have 8 grandchildren.
Oh my.
And they're in Port Charlotte. We have them over now and then. I spoil my grandchildren on purpose, and when they go home it's very, very quiet, but it's fun to have a big family around.
I have all my grandchildren down here too, so I know what you're talking about. Since the re-election, of course, you've been named chairman of the board, and how do you find that position, and what are the new challenges you face as a chairperson?
Well, the first place that there was a charter change, meaning that for the seat 1, which I have been, will take the chair for the first year, and seat 2 will do it next year, and the seat 3 and so on. So this was a mandate from the people that I become the chair this year.
So it's now a rotating,
it's a rotating
seat.
Right. And it's been fun. I believe that I have created an atmosphere of warm and friendly meetings. I have the cooperation of the other 4 commissioners, and it's quite exciting that I have this opportunity to serve the board. A good chairman has hardly any opinion, and they're there to serve the rest of the board. That's applying Robert's Rules of Order and the parliamentary procedure, which that's what I do, and it seems to be working fine.
So officially you're the tiebreaker?
Yes.
That's when the buck stops at your desk.
That's when the important vote, sometimes I'm the tiebreaker. That's why you don't say too much and you run the meeting.
Yeah. What are some of the other responsibilities that you normally don't have as city commissioner?
Well, I get paid $100 extra a month.
Okay.
Because I sign my name a lot of times.
I'm looking for the downside.
And also, the downside really is not any different than my first 4 years.
I'm only teasing, of course.
Yeah.
You just started up a new system for board meetings, from what I understand. What was the reason for that, and what is it?
Well, the meetings, like, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, I'm not sure, we started a meeting at 4 o'clock, and it ran into the 6 o'clock meeting, so we had no break. And we got out of there at 11:15, which that's the long meeting. So what we're going to be doing starting in January is to split that up. We're going to have the meetings in the afternoon, and there will be non-issues, proclamations, things, concurrency with smaller items. And then in the evening, it'll start at 6, and we're going to end up at 9 o'clock in the evening. Any lap over, or leftover, will be the next morning.
But you're still only having one meeting a week, public meeting a week?
Well, we have two meetings a month.
A month?
Yes.
Okay.
And it would be a little bit easier in the evenings after being there at 4 o'clock at 10:30. You really might not be as sharp as we should be, which is common sense, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. It gets to be, you get to be a little brain dead after a while sitting in meetings. I know I've been to a lot of meetings where we've sat hour after hour after hour, and it just seems to be less productive as the day goes by. So
what I do is throw a little humor into the meetings towards the end instead of being contentious. It's more fun, and I was applauded for that. And I feel that it doesn't always have to be really, really serious all the time.
Yeah, I noticed I know that there was some concern before we started to be able to see the show, listen to me, to the commission taped. It's now taped live and shown at a later time. How are you finding that? And how do you find the citizens react to it?
Well, of course, I take credit for things maybe I shouldn't, but the people who have seen that tape have congratulated me on my running of the commission meeting. It's changed, the atmosphere has changed, commission meeting in the last month than it was before. And I take credit for that, but also I give credit to the 4 members of my board who we're cohesive, I believe.
Yeah, I don't, maybe I misunderstood, but the taping, we're now taping the city commission meetings that we can watch as citizens. Even though we can't come there, we can now watch them on television.
Well, that's been in effect almost a year, I think, believe
Right,
now.
but how are you finding it, and what's the reaction you've been receiving from the people?
Well, depending, before my chair or after my chair, it was quite contentious before, and it was embarrassing at times because, but we changed that. The complexity of that commission has changed, and it all to the better. And that's the comparison I get, much improved than it was before, which before I'm almost a year, I believe, was on tape. And I think it runs twice a week, I believe.
Yeah, sure does. I know I enjoy watching it, and I have all along because I can't get to the city meetings. Yeah. But I can, even my mother-in-law sits and watches you, so that's a thing. One of the big things that you've been working on for the past few months is a new city manager. With the leaving of Mr. Roth. Where do we stand in that process? Here it is. It's getting to be the end of December.
In a desperate situation right now. We had a 5-member committee. They went over about 87 applicants. They shortlisted it down to 15 applicants. Finally, it was down to 8. As of yesterday, it's down to 6 now. We only have 6 live applicants that have not got a job someplace. We've waited too long. We did not use the Florida League of Cities, what service they provide. And also we did not use all this is for free. The range riders would review all the applicants and suggest a short list of 5 or 8 or 10. All that is for free, but we didn't utilize that this year. So we have had a background check from the company that charged us $1,250 for each applicant, which there were 8. And now we're in a position, I've called for a special meeting next Thursday to decide what are we going to do. We're down to 6. Hopefully we still have 6. It's been 5 or 6 months almost. We started in August. And we desperately need a city manager, but we didn't approach it right, I don't believe. We should have gone through, in my opinion, the Florida League of Cities, because this is the help, this is the service they give us. We didn't take advantage.
Yeah, well, you know, as these fellows and gals find jobs, it just means that you're looking at the cream of the crop. And so maybe at this point you really have to start moving fast.
We're going to make some decisions next Thursday that's going to be quite important.
Well, that's good, because the city's got a lot on its plate, and we need the continuity that a good, competent city manager will afford us to keep ourselves going in a positive direction and making sure that you know, the needs of the citizens are served. And of course, you addressed it somewhat, but you know, there was a certain amount of bickering going on before, and the other thing is the relationship with the county. And how do you perceive that, and what do you think? What do you think the prognosis for a good working relationship in the future is shaping up with the county?
I think we, the city commission, started on the right foot. We had a meeting with the county commissioners about a week and a half ago on the shaded lots. The atmosphere has changed on our board, much more friendly. We need the county commission. They need us, we hope. And I believe it's going to be a much improved relationship, which it has not been. We've got to get back into the joint planning agreements that's been going on for over 2 years. There's not as much adverse action with each board, as far as, not only one board, it's each board. I think that's been improved.
Okay,
I have great hopes that our relationship is so important to the future of the county and to the city.
Oh, I absolutely agree 100%. And the next big issue, of course, you know, that's going to work on that relationship is water, I believe. But you know, if we all have the right attitude, we can get along. And,
water and roads.
And yeah, more so water, I believe. But what do you see as our biggest project next year?
Well, we've done all the engineering and design of Sumter, and construction to return dirt, I believe, this coming year. That's the big project, the capital improvement. And then the water is pretty good until maybe about 3 or 4 years from now, but we've got a plan right now.
Oh,
we
yeah.
have a brand new utility, a master plan, and it gives us projections up to the year 2009, but we've got to start right now. We should have started about 2 or 3 years ago on that.
Yeah. The other question is that, you know, we're pulling out of this, Northport really was fortunate during the hurricane. How do you see us at this point in time with the hurricane and the results of it?
Well, the county emergency management and the city, they worked so closely together, and we had 4 storms, and it worked like clockwork as far as meeting the needs. We are very lucky that we were spared, but we helped out a lot in Port Charlotte and in Punta Gorda. But it worked out perfectly. We had 4 almost in a row, but the cooperation between the county and the city was almost like clockwork. It worked perfectly.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I know. I think we were very fortunate. If you drive down through Port Charlotte today, you can still see a lot of the aftermath.
It's disaster down there.
Yeah, we're almost done with this segment. What would be your #1 priority for the upcoming year?
Well, there's 2. Still, it's the water and roads. The roads, we're only about 12% built out. The house has to sit out 3 feet above the road and needs dirt. Well, there's big trucks, there's 50 to 75 trucks every day hauling dirt, because this is our growth, but it's destroying our roads. So perhaps we need some grants, but that takes a long time with the federal government. So perhaps we're going to have to go to the voters and ask for a lot of money to fix up the major roads. But the water is crucial. I still think there's water available in the Thomas Ranch area. We haven't explored that entirely, I believe, and that's got to be a part of the growth that we have to be prepared for. We built last year 3,100 new houses. That's about 9,000 to 10,000 people in 1 year.
Yeah. Okay, well, with that, we'll be back in a moment. Please stay with us.
Have you seen Northport lately? Take a minute and take a look.
We really do enjoy nature, and we found it all here, right in our own backyard. Love fishing and boating on the Mayaca. You never know what you might see out there. We toured the whole state of Florida, and found that Northport had everything that we wanted.
There's a lot of natural beauty, and there's a lot of wildlife here. I love the open spaces, and I love the quiet.
If you're intrigued by what you just saw, pay us a visit, and you'll see a lot more.
Welcome back, and with us now we have Mr. Fred Tower, who is our recently elected City Commissioner. Welcome, Fred, and welcome to your new position as City Commissioner. And we always like to have a little rundown on who our guests are, where they come from, and whatever else they'd like to add about themselves, what they did up north and what they're doing down here. So it's up to you for the next few minutes.
Well, thank you for welcoming me, and it's been a nice welcome to the city. Real quick on my background, I came to Northport in 1999 after retiring from sales and marketing management with Buick Division and General Motors. And I always wanted to get involved with the city, and because of my job for 35 years, I traveled a lot and just didn't have time. I spent all my time on weekends working on my property. And so I came to Northport and very quickly became a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and eventually became the chairperson of that. And meanwhile, I got on the Performing Arts Center Advisory Board and became chairperson of that. So I really got involved in the city, and as time passed, some people came up to me and said, you ought to move up a step and run for commissioner. So that's the short version of the story.
Mm-hmm. We haven't had anyone on from the Performing Arts Center in a long time. What's going on over there now? How are they making out?
They are doing great over there, Gene. The attendance just for the past year was over 50,000 people. They have events for the school. They have outside groups coming in. And George Kenny has his great program called The Season of Stars. And this year he's about 50 seats, I understand, right now from sellout. And that's for 6 concerts. And he doesn't start till January with that.
Wow. You know, that certainly has been a great contribution, and I thank anyone who had any part in putting it together. It really is an addition to the city.
Well, I know you spend time. We both usher over there, so
yeah, well,
it's dear to my heart too.
Yeah, but that's fun.
It's a great, and I'm still going to do it with.
We have season tickets also, and what we don't have season tickets for, we usher, so we get to see everything, the best of both worlds.
Great.
Yeah. Now that you're elected, and you said that people were telling you to go on, was that the only reason you went on, or did you have a burning desire to get up there and sit at the podium and get things done?
Originally, no, I didn't have a burning desire, but as people came up to me, and I've also attended the commission meetings since I first came to town on a semi-regular basis, and when I finally decided to run in the last year and a half, I have not missed a city meeting. And the desire got more burning as I watched the commissioners up there. I didn't always agree with them, plus the urging from other people in town. And the two just kind of came together for me. And all of a sudden, I got into the election.
You turned around and you said, what happened? Here I am.
I don't know how I got there.
There you are. And you got elected.
Yes, sir.
So how do you like the job so far?
I enjoy it, but I will say this, as much involvement as I had with the city prior to running for election, and then once getting into the office, and I've had 3 meetings under my belt already. It's kind of immediate. The election was on November 2nd. Thursday morning, November 4th, they swore me in. And the next Monday night, I had my first meeting. I had a stack of paper like that to read over the weekend. You're learning all the time. You never know anything, and if you don't learn, you're going to get behind. There's just so many different issues, opportunities, dealing with the residents. We get a lot of calls and emails from residents and try to help them out. Legislation before the commission, working with the county, working with the water districts, the Metropolitan Planning Organization. It's just an all-encompassing responsibility, and it's a learning tree all the time, the way I look at it.
Yeah, it is a lot more intense than most people think it is.
I'm surprised with all my background. It even surprised me. I thought, you know, I'm typical. I probably thought I knew more than I did, and I found out I don't.
Well, I won't tell anybody.
Okay, promise.
All right. You've been on a month and a half. What kind of surprises have you run into so far?
quite a few surprises. We have one issue in the city, and you haven't gotten the issues, but is this county relationship is probably I was aware of it coming in. We just got done negotiating the cheated lots, and I know our decision wasn't overall popular with a few people in the community, but they haven't seen, we had a couple executive sessions, and that's meeting with our attorney, and those haven't been shown. Once the final papers are signed, then that will all be public domain. But we had some big decisions to make there, and it's kind of frightening sometimes. You're dealing with a lot of money and a lot of people's future. And getting into these county relations further is water is going to be a big issue. There was an article in the paper the other day, and the more we get into it, we're dependent on so many other people for things that we do in the community. We really have to work on relationships. I know a lot of people don't understand that, but we have to build camaraderie because these people don't need us, we need them.
Okay. The direction the city is going in now, and from yourself, you're new on there, you've got an opinion from the outside, now you're starting to see or formulate an opinion from the inside. What's your idea of the direction we're going? What have we done right? What do you feel we've done wrong?
Well, it's easy, Gene, to always criticize what's been done in the past. I think one thing lacking in the past of the city of Northport is operating without any vision, not looking down the road. And there's not a lot of, there's a lot of examples of that, but I'm not going to dwell on those. So what I'm saying, we have to look forward. We have to look at growth management and funding to get behind the growth that we're facing today. We all know that we need roads, that we have traffic congestion in Northport, the water issue like I talked about, and especially the drainage issue when you look at the Northport estates and other parts of town. All these situations and opportunities have been existing since the 90s. We have to bring in fruition and let our people know where we're going to go with these opportunities. And that's long-range planning. And we do have a goal-setting plan for all the commissioners and these staff heads on January 11th. So hopefully we can set forward and not look back.
Okay. Priorities. Every city has a priority, and I'm going to just kind of read off the list here of some of them, and maybe you can care to touch. You've already touched on some of them. Infrastructure, which are road and drainage, potable water supply, working with Sarasota County, challenges of population growth, the Thomas Ranch expansion, economic development, commercial and industrial growth.
You hit on just about my priority list. It's a pretty popular list, and it's hard to dispute any of those. I'd say number one right now, and we're very fortunate, we have Cindy Mick as our utility director. And Cindy is very proactive. She has a long-range plan. But if we don't get the water we need, and we just got turned down by the Peace River, we asked for 5.0 million gallons per day, and they only allocate us 1.7. So we have negotiations through a law firm that we hired to work with the Peace River. Secondly, I would say is transportation and congestion. You know, we have three main roads in Northport, and that's Toledo Blade, Price, and then Sumter. Sumter's already been in the design stage. The commission just a couple of weeks ago allocated funding over $1 million for the design of Toledo Blade. We're working on trying to get some federal funds for that. But if I was a betting person, I could see some bonding taking place in the next 12 to 18 months so we can do all the roads at one time and not piecemeal. Thomas Ranch is another interesting. It's almost going to be like a city within a city, even though that they're going to be up the road on 41. The eventual build out of that is predicated at about 15,000 units. And if you drive along 41 now, you see all those green pipes. And we're getting ready to start that phase, putting sewer and water all the way up 41 to connect with Thomas Ranch. Once that's connected by next spring, there will be two developers building about 1,200 homes per development. One of them is Devassa, and we've looked at what they built in Sarasota. And it's going to kind of be an upscale living, and be divided from Northport. Economic development is another one that is very, very important, and that gets back into the Thomas Ranch. One reason, in the voluntary annexation, you know, Northport didn't go after them, they came after us. But it looked advantageous to Northport because there's a lot of commercial land available up there along River Road and that whole corridor. So not only are we going to get homes, but we're going to get a lot of land we need. I mean, people look at Northport, we have 103 square miles, yet we have very little commercial land available when these developers and companies want to move to Northport. So I look at that, and then I have a final one, and I really haven't got into it. Our population, 50% of it is below 40 years old. And we need more recreational fields, soccer fields, baseball fields, Little League for our youth. And that's one thing we have to get in, whether we have to even go out and purchase land to build something like they have in Inglewood. Because if we provide them the recreation, hopefully that'll keep them out of mischief in other areas of the city. So we really have to look to them when we take a whole look at our population and do more for them too.
Yeah, I think that as we grow, this is a perfect opportunity to do the right thing and put in the right infrastructure and everything else. You know, it's interesting, we have the water issue coming up, you know, with the Peace River option that's out there, and yet Northport was built on Peace River water. It was designed by the developer, General Development, based on Peace River water, and we're not even part of the equation. Well, you know, we're only a very small part of that equation today, yet the whole city was predicated on Peace River water. So that's going to be an interesting discussion, I think.
Very much so, and you know, I've kind of heard that I know we're on television right now, but they'd be just as happy if we went away and didn't take their water. That's kind of the way they treat us as a stepchild, and even though we buy water, we're the only one that buy water from them that's not a member of their board.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's again because of our prior commitments and requirements of water. 2005, 2006, what do you see some of the milestones?
I see some of the milestones and looking from the vision viewpoint that by 2005, 2006, we'll solidify the water situation. We'll come up with the agreements because Sarasota County is a player in this also. I've seen the figures, and they're getting more than an ample supply of water from the Peace River. In fact, their allocation is based on them having the old Taylor Ranch, which is the Thomas Ranch now. So they do have extra water. They have a line running down 41. So I think we'll get that worked out with the commission we have now. I think we'll have the road thing. We'll have some type of bonding or get some federal aid, and we'll start construction. I can see, hopefully, in late 2005 or early 2006, working on our main thoroughfares. Another thing we have opening is our new city hall that will be opening next fall. And also, hopefully, talking about economic development is Home Depot and Walmart, so our people don't have to drive to Port Charlotte or Venice. They'll stay in town. I'm sure it'll help our younger people because they like to shop at those stores.
What are the dates of the completion for the City Hall and Police Department, approximate?
We were looking at a chart the other day, and I would roughly say it should be completed, depending upon weather and the hurricane season, sometime in August. So I could see a move if everything, and this is kind of opening the crystal ball up, but I can see it kind of opening and our employees moving there around the first part of September and having a grand opening.
With that thought, Commissioner, thank you very much for being here, and we'll be visit with you again.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.